Hello, Women of the Channel community. I'm Alanna April, Women of the Channel Program Manager, and welcome to this week's Women of the Channel Community Spotlight. With our community spotlights, we have the opportunity to highlight incredible women and allies who are making a meaningful impact in their organizations, community, and beyond. And today is no exception. I'm excited to introduce Halle Dretler, Associate Director of Philanthropy and Partnerships at Everfree. Halle, thank you so much for being here today, and we're so thrilled to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Alana. I'm so happy to be here, truly honored. The channel company is an incredible partner to Everfree, and so we're so happy to be here.
We're looking forward to spending time with you to learn a little bit more about your journey and what inspires your work and leadership lessons that you've learned along the way. So let's jump right into it. I would love to learn a little bit more about you. Where do you live today, and is that different from where you grew up?
Yes, it is. So I grew up just outside Boston, so I will always be an East Coaster at heart. But I currently live in Los Angeles, and I made the move out here in 2022, barely knowing anybody. And I did that intentionally because I felt really ready to start a chapter where I'd have to push myself a little bit, get out of my comfort zone, and just, build a community here and a life for myself sort of from the ground up. And it's been absolutely wonderful. I love it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can kind of relate to it. I moved to Florida only with a couple of friends and ended up moving back to actually the Boston area. So definitely where you are from. I know that area quite well. But yeah, no, it's great to kind of jump into a new experience, not knowing what to expect. And it really helps challenge yourself. No, it's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And speaking of your journey, your work today centered around creating meaningful impact through Everfree. I'd love to kind of go back to see where that passion began and what inspired you to pursue a career in the anti-trafficking sector.
Yeah. So I started out actually in marketing on the client leadership side at a creative agency, and I absolutely loved it. I learned so much. I got to work with a ton of incredible clients. It was wonderful. But at the same time, I think between the news and the social media, and honestly, just life observation, if you will, I just kept noticing how much suffering there was in the world around me. And I felt this immense responsibility to actually respond to it rather than just kind of notice it or try to bury my head from it. And trafficking in particular was an issue that stuck with me, partly because young girls are just so disproportionately affected by it. And I remember my parents sitting me and my sister down and actually talking to us about it before an upcoming trip. And in just hearing more and more about it, I couldn't sit with the idea of living in a world where human beings can be bought and sold and not do something more about it. So
Mhm.
I started volunteering. And once I got involved with that, I saw just how transferable my skill set in marketing and in relationships was, and how I could actually use that to do something for good. And so that's when I decided to sort of completely pivot and make philanthropy my full-time career.
It's such like a powerful journey because it's a reminder that like our careers aren't always a straight line. You start in one's place, you end up getting introduced to other things and often find our purpose and like those experiences that guide us towards those opportunities. And then you find something that you can actually make a bigger difference in others' lives, not just corporate ways. So no, that's amazing. And as you've grown throughout your career and taking on more leadership responsibilities, what kind of traits are you still trying to work to develop and grow?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Obviously, there are so many, but one that I think about a lot, and I suspect a lot of women in leadership will recognize this, kind of finding that balance between holding warmth and authority at the same time. Of course, I want the people I work with internally and externally to really actually enjoy working with me and to feel
Mhm.
comfortable being open and honest with me. And at the same time, I want to be taken seriously as a leader who can make a hard call or a hard decision. And I think that, especially for women, sometimes those can feel like a real trade off. So, what I'm working on learning now is how they can actually reinforce each other, right? That being warm and being firm don't necessarily have to compete, and that instead it's really about I think the overall foundation of trust that you build is what lets you lead well and balance those.
I think that we all kind of have that weighing that scale of like how much can one overtake the other and can I
Right.
really do both at the same time? And it's a continuous like learning process of okay, I was a little too warm here, maybe I was a little too stern here and trying to find that perfect balance. There's always going to be those little ebbs and flows, but definitely trying to learn that balance. I think we're all trying to figure that out on a daily basis. And there's always
Right.
opportunities for us to grow and kind of stretch ourselves to figure out where those lines are. And
Exactly.
yeah, and with that growth and figuring out all of those different challenges within leadership and all of that, they all come with challenges and unfamiliar situations. How do you stay confident while navigating those new responsibilities or stepping into the unknown?
Well, as I'm sure you can, see from the news and the headlines almost every single day, the nature of this work, especially, is that it does have constant new challenges and unknowns all the time. And I think to kind of get through that, my confidence comes from the fact that I can wake up and look in the mirror and know that I'm doing my best every single day to combat a human rights crisis, right? And
Mhm.
I think working in this space is also really about perspective. So if something feels unfamiliar or uncomfortable, I pause and I take a moment and I remind myself who I'm doing it for, and that really helps ground me. And I think that can go across any any industry. It doesn't just have to be NGO. Maybe you're doing your career for you or for your kids or for someone in your life that you love. So I think that that's something that can be applied to all scenarios of just taking a pause of the why behind what you're navigating.
No, definitely. I think the pause and the perspective is it's really realigning yourself is like maybe I don't know where I'm going right now or how I'm going to tackle this challenge, but I'm doing it for this specific purpose and I it kind of drives you a little bit more and gives you a little bit more fuel to keep and try to overcome that challenge.
Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful advice and definitely something that is transferable, like you said, across different industries. And I think so many of our community members will be able to kind of resonate with that. Obviously, the pause and perspective that you just said. Before we wrap up, I love to end on more of a slightly personal note and give everyone a glimpse into what helps keep you balanced amidst everything that you do. So, what's one small moment or habit that you do to help keep yourself grounded?
Yeah, I have quite a few, but because I moved to California, every morning I am lucky enough to get to walk down to the ocean. So I do that every single morning and I do box breathing. So I walk 10 blocks to the water and then I do 4 counts in, hold for 4, 4 out, hold for 4, and repeat. And I usually only do that a couple of times, but even a few times is enough to feel really calming. And then I walk home, and it's just this small, simple thing that grounds me and sets me up for the rest of the day. So I try to do it every single day.
That's definitely something that I think I've personally have tried it and it helps. The breathing exercises, the ocean definitely helps ground. I do miss being able to walk to the ocean as well when I lived in Florida, but it really does calm you and it sets your perspective and the kind of intention for the day, which is amazing. All right, Hallie, thank you so much for sharing your story and insights with us today. Your passion for making a difference and commitment to growth and thoughtful approach to your leadership has been incredibly inspiring. Thank you so much to everyone from the Women of the Channel community for joining us for another community spotlight. Be sure to stay connected with the Women of the Channel for more stories, conversations, and opportunities to learn from the incredible women and allies who help make up our communities. Until next time, thank you for watching.